2.71 trillion naira ways and means advances of the CBN to the federal government. The TMO stated Nigeria's total public debt stock as at June 30, 2023 was 87.38 trillion naira. Now it comprises the total domestic and external debts of the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 states, and the Federal Capital Territory. The major addition to the public debt stock was the inclusion of the 22.712 trillion naira securitized federal government's ways and means advances. Okay, I mean, this is something we've been speaking about for quite some time, and it looks as though for now it's not really improving. That it has to do with Nigeria's debt profile. Our debt profile is not encouraging in any way. But then again, some people have said, look, with the economy right now, with what has happened over the years to our economy, it's it's something that we cannot do without. Talking about borrowing, but what we're asking, or what a lot of people are saying, is if you borrow for a reason. You don't just borrow because you feel like borrowing. It's not fun, right? You borrow for a reason. When you borrow, we need to see what you're spending this money on, because you give reasons for it. Most times, usually hear things like you want to, build infrastructure, ensure, lives of people are better and all that. But we can't see anything. There's nothing that is, visible to say, oh, look, this is where our money went to. I mean, just before the last administration, left, there was a show off of, pyramids of rice, and one would wonder, has hunger really been solved in Nigeria as we speak? Is a bag of rice now cheaper? No, it's not. And so we keep seeing the death profile go up, and we don't see anything. The death profile keeps going up, and we're asking ourselves, where is the money going to?
So we have to even take a history lesson now, just walk down memory lane talking about this death profile. So from Obasanjo to Buhari, the federal government's debt profile surged 658% to 26.9 trillion naira in 21 years. And whether we like it or not, Nigeria's public debt has been on the rise, on a steady, despite securing debt relief during the Olusegun Obasanjo-led administration. Successive governments have continued on a borrowing spree. The federal government's component of the public debt surging 658% to 26.9 trillion naira. Let's not also forget that it raised a lot of concerns amongst Nigerians on the debt sustainability of the country amid dwindling revenue to meet the debt obligations to creditors. During the Buhari-led administration, we saw on a regular basis how the Senate kept approving different loan requests by the president. Where has that led us? Let's not forget that Buhari's huge patent debt profile was to the tune of more than 80 trillion naira. And you're wondering, what are the things put in place to ensure that it is being repaid? Is it still Nigerians that would have to repay it by putting in, taxes here and there? Just this year, a couple of weeks ago, we made mention of the headline in the news that was imposing Nigerians to pay a yearly fee on their own cars that has been paid for every year. So feels like the problems just keep mounting up and mounting up and mounting up. And while he will be, he was probably celebrating it. I really don't know. Is it in Daura or it can be in Niger?
No, he moved to Daura when the whole coup thing started.
Well, we are still here sorting out the mess. That has been created because of this huge debt profile. Whether we like it or not, it is not benefiting anyone, and I really don't know how we can get ourselves from this mess. As you said earlier, infrastructure has been put in place. Have they really generated so much revenue to pump back into the economy, to ease the stress, to ease the pain, to ease the hunger in the land? And this is not saying that there won't still be borrowings in the future. So these are the things we need to put in perspective.
Another issue I have is the states. I mean, the states' debts profile also contributes to this number as well. And one would wonder what some state governors are really, really doing. I mean, it's no longer news that Nigeria is blessed with lots of mineral resources across board, right? So what are the governors doing when they get into power? What exactly is happening? One thing I know that we always hear is when one governor is about to leave, there's always a declaration of the amount of money being left in the treasury. But when the next person comes in, person first of all declares that the treasury is empty.
It's empty.
I always don't know how that works. Honestly, I really do not. But then again, I think also state governors should do better. It's time to really talk about this restructuring thing, actually, because I think the dependency on the center is becoming too much. And the truth is, the federal government has to tell herself the truth. It's too much. The pressure from states, other states are too much. Some states are just literally dependent on the federal government. There's nothing coming from within at all in any way or form. And it's sad. I mean, not everybody has to go to a particular state in the country. Not everybody for example, not everybody who lives in Lagos actually wants to stay in Lagos. But they can't stay any other place because other states look like, they're very far. And they're very redundant. So the thing is, governors too need to do better.
It's not about being far now. It's about the economic structure in that state.
Exactly.
Whether it's booming enough for people to invest in it.
And there are things there. Just look within. Every state has something to offer. If you look within, it's beyond you just campaigning and just coming into. You need to have a plan. We cannot continue like this. The funny thing is, most of all these are leaders. You travel outside the country, you see what people are doing. If they did not build their country or build a system that works, where would you travel to?
How are we going to get out of this debt, quagmire that we've put ourselves? We need to improve, production. Because we import almost everything that we're making use of in this country, and those are the things that are also sucking up the finances of the country. We need to sort out production, and of course exporting as well, because those are the things that would definitely ease the stretch we have right now, talking about the debt and that we have accrued to ourselves as a country. Production, agriculture, what exactly is happening to the agricultural sector? We've heard of ensuring that farmers are encouraged, reducing the cost of fertilizers and everything, but then have we even nipped insecurity in the bud? Are farmers really safe and secure when they go to their farmlands?
You see, there's some things that needs to be fixed in this country, some basic things that need to be fixed that would actually trickle down and even create a boom. It's a surprise you that you fix one thing and lots of other things are actually sorted out. One of them is security and one of them is power, and that takes us to the next headline in the Punch's paper. Electricity consumers slam federal government over power grid collapse. It has happened again. As well. Anyway, we have a new minister of power, so I'm hoping that with time, because he just got in. Let's hope that after now it will not happen again.
But then again, there are also talks on how to prevent another national grid collapse. We haven't had light for like 2 days. If not because of inverter, we would have been in darkness. And experts and stakeholders in the energy sector have called for a comprehensive infrastructure upgrade and development of the emergency systemic support for the national electricity ecosystem. This sounds more like a broken record, because when last year the national grid was collapsing like it was doing press-ups, it was collapsing almost every month, and you would wonder, why hasn't there been any solution to this situation?
Moving on to other headlines in the Punch's paper. Manufactured goods imports gulp $6.7 billion in 6 months. This is based on a report. Tinubu orders Nami's retirement, appoints Adidiji FRS chair. Tinubu promises to tackle poverty and complete East-West Road. Alake has provided qualitative leadership for Egba. Anglican primate says NURTW president, 21 others arrested for alleged killing. Zero allocation. Ogun local government chair impeached, lampoons Abiodun. These are the headlines in the Punch's paper this morning.
All right, then let's move over to some of the stories making headlines in the Nation newspaper. All right, the big one here says Defense Headquarters, police turn heat on oil thieves, economic saboteurs. The riders here, 1 million liters of stolen crude seized in 1 week. IG orders clamp down on firearms production. We definitely need to, give you details of this story now. So it reads, the pressure piled on oil thieves, economic saboteurs, and bandits by the military and the police have started yielding results. The nation's security has raised the tempo to their battle against those they described as enemies of the government's pain to improve the economy. The Defense Headquarters and the police yesterday gave insights into the results of their declaration of war on the criminals. Get this. Acting Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Egbetokun and Director of Defense Media Operations Major General Edward Buba spoke at different events, and they warned that there would be no hiding place for anyone whose goal is to thwart the nation's renewed drive for economic recovery. Oil theft, which slowed down the country's ability to meet its oil quota allocated by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, has been curtailed by improved security activities. I guess at this point in time, we just have to say better late than never, right? Because whether we like it or not, Nigeria, according to the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, he says the country is losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily to local and international thieves, despite efforts to end the menace. We've made mention of this, oftentimes on the show, about the heavy machinery that needs to be used to, steal this crude oil. And it's not just, mere thieves that they just collide. Some people, heavy lifters, are backing them up. So hopefully, with this recovery, and of course with those who have been nipped already, they would confess and let us in on whoever it is that is backing them up, because you cannot just find some miscreants. Even if you find, there are still some people who are investing in this oil theft. We should also, note that Nigeria is losing close to 16.25 trillion naira to crude oil theft, and this has been happening for more than 12 years now. So you can imagine if this money was, pumped into the economy, what it's going to do without corruption, though, because that's another thing. It is a conversation to talk about what the country is going to derive with, oil theft being stopped. It's another thing when this money is here now, how it's going to, be used to ensure that people are enjoying the dividends of democracy.
For a country that relies heavily on crude oil, I'm still surprised that we allow such things as oil theft to actually be an issue for 12 years. Look at the numbers, a whole lot. It tells you that there's something really, really wrong with our security infrastructure, and it's not good news, yes, but we need to be serious about this whole thing, to be honest. We need to, because look at right now, there's a war between Russia and Ukraine. We should have taken advantage of this, but oil theft would not allow us to be great.
And that is why I keep saying that it goes beyond just picking a few people here and there. Get deep down, get your hands dirty in those who are really financing this oil theft, because it is going into tunes of hundreds, thousands of dollars, into millions. So it should not just end here. And kudos to the Defense Headquarters and all the security operatives ensuring that they nip this in the bud. But we just need more work to be done, and revelation to be given on whoever or the persons responsible for all theft. The defense spokesman also said that the troops of the Operation Delta Safe recovered 452,910 liters of illegally refined diesel, 22,650 liters of petrol, and 3,000 liters of kerosene in the South in the past 1 week. This is huge, and of course they can do better. He also said that they destroyed 89 illegal refining sites, 21 dugout pits, 56 boats, 138 storage tanks, and they also arrested 59 suspected oil thieves and other criminals. So yes, fingers crossed on this one. It will definitely give you more headlines on the developing story. Moving on this morning, still in the Nation newspaper, how to prevent another national grid collapse. Okay, Tinubu, we will create wealth for all Nigerians. President hails advisor Wike for hitting the ground running as FCT minister. Ajulo Falano's wife, Afe Babalola's daughter, 66 others make SAN's list. Makinde appoints 29-year-old as commissioner. Governors get federal government push on mass food production. Governors, I think you made mention of that earlier on what they need to do to, boost the state's production and all of that. Well, they've been given a marching order to boost food security by embarking on mass production, and this order, according to Niger State Governor Mohammed Umar Bago, was given by the president. And Bago said that his administration earmarked about 550,000 hectares of land for farming in the state in compliance, with the presidential directive. According to him, 300,000 hectares of farmland were ready for cultivation, while the government plans to clear another 250,000 hectares across the state. As we said earlier, and reiterating this right now on the show, it is good, really amazing initiative. We're now tilting towards being proactive, but then again, ensure that the security of lives, of properties of these farmers is priority as well. It is not alone for you to, give matching orders for, farming, agriculture, just, make it all the cherry on top and all of that. But if there are no people alive to go and cultivate, to go and, harvest, then what exactly are we doing? It's all futile.
Yes, I mean, I really would have loved to know in what form the president gave that marching order for governors to start to, produce, to go into massive production. Because, I mean, we all know that when it comes to security, everything, every command is coming from the center. So it's almost as you telling people to go to war with nothing when your enemies are all loaded. So it's beyond just giving matching orders. You have to ensure that you're securing the areas. You have to ensure farmers need to feel safe when they go to farm.
Right. Okay, all right, let's just wrap up with the headlines in the Nation newspaper. Clashes Ganduje, panel 6, creation of Livestock Ministry. Livestock Ministry now. How important is that to the situation of things on ground right now? A Livestock Ministry?
Livestock Ministry, isn't that, it's not a case of duplicating ministries now. Livestock and whatever it is, livestock will be under the Ministry of Agriculture.
I really don't know why that has to be, given another ministry on its own.
It's under Ministry of Agriculture. Except you're telling me that, this is not a case of. We're not saying these things don't still happen. Yes, there was a time, there was serious issues between herdsmen and farmers, and maybe that's what you're trying to say, that you're trying to, curb here. But besides that, livestock should be under Ministry of Agriculture.
Honestly, because as you said, it's going to be duplication of ministry now, and we're talking about reduction of cost of governance. So with this Livestock Ministry, how is that going to bring about reduction of cost of governance? I really do not know. So the details of the story says the National Livestock Reforms Committee on Thursday recommended that President Bola Tinubu should create a Ministry of Livestock Resources to, among other deliverables, reduce the decades-long gory conflicts between farmers and nomadic cattle herders nationwide. The chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, disclosed this to State House correspondents shortly after he led the committee in an audience with the president at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. It seems that the APC chairman is already giving them a backing. I really don't know if his weight on this situation would I'm minding my words now, put a bit of pressure on the president to okay the institution of such a ministry, but I do not think that is the appropriate thing to do.
No, I'm not surprised he's backing them. I mean, if we look at it, I mean, we know that a certain region, the northern part of Nigeria, is where you find most, herders. So, and he's from that region, so I guess he's only standing up for his people, basically. But I don't think it's important, to actually have a Ministry of Livestock. No, what I think is important is let the ministries just work. If every ministry is working, every aspect will be affected. That's just it. You want people to, if you want us to pay attention to the livestock industry, it's different. But saying to create a ministry for that, no, I don't think it's necessary.
All right, then, those are the headlines in the Nation newspaper.